I have these friends, Dan and Sheila. They're podcast hosts.
Welcome to Profiling Criminal Minds, back with Season 2 of Squid Game. I'm Dan.
And I'm Doc. Oh, I'm Sheila today.
Yeah, there's a little bit of psychology to talk about, I think.
Yeah, oh yes, there is. There's definitely
definitely
psychology.
Some psychology. Obviously this is going to be all spoilers. There's no way to talk about this season without talking about spoiler after spoiler after spoiler. So I think we can both agree that everybody should watch Squid Game Season 2, right?
Oh, definitely. That's how we started. Just watch it.
Yeah, just watch it.
Just watch it.
We're gonna get into what we think about it, our theories, where we think it's gonna go from here, all of that stuff. And I gotta say, I was blown away.
Oh my!
It's so good.
Well, as I said, what is it? Episode 4, where you meet 001?
No, that's episode 3. Yeah, it's the end of 3, because he's the one who comes in and votes for them to stay at the end of 3.
Yeah,
the new,
and that's where you see it. So
player 1.
Yeah, the new player 1.
Oh my god! Wow!
I just I'm looking at him and going, I know that face.
Of course.
Holy shit!
Yep.
It's Squid.
Oh, what a twist! Oh
that was
my God.
That was at the end of episode 2. No, episode 3.
Episode 3. Yeah. Oh, because he doesn't get into the game, right, for a while. That's the thing, and I think it's important that he doesn't get into the game for a while. I understand why people would have preferred it. I've seen a couple of negative reviews. I don't understand them. I think this season is magnificent. I'm not ready to say it's better than the first season yet, because it is very much an incomplete, right, project. Yeah. It's not done yet. It ends on a cliffhanger. We can't say what this story means until we've seen season 3. Because say what you will about season 1, it's a complete story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But this is very much Empire Strikes Back to season 1 Star Wars, in that things go real bad for everybody this season, and we are left hanging. Exactly how Empire Strikes Back ended. Only losses, everybody's in a bad position. What the hell are we going to do now?
Yep.
Oh my God. All right. So, and this is just me putting this out there. My first prediction, 100%. She did not execute player 246. She didn't kill him. No circumstance. Number 11 did not kill player 246. That's what happened there. He's not dead. We saw him get shot, but it happens off camera. He's not dead. That story is continuing next season. And that's exactly the point. If somebody gets shot and you don't see it? Yeah. It's non-fatal.
It's non-fatal.
Yeah. All right. I'm just saying 100% player 246 is still alive, and we're going to get his more in depth into his story next season, because they've killed off a lot of the characters whose stories we were following. Meaning, we're going to need to focus on some other people. But oh my God, where do you start talking about this?
Well, okay, I can do it more structurally, because I suspect I can understand a little better than you can the why people are complaining that 001 doesn't show up until the end of 3. Now, I don't know really why they're complaining.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because he's already there. He's there. Frontman is there.
He's there the whole time.
So yeah, he's there in every episode talking, through the limousine microphone, for God's sake. Frontman is there. That is not what I would call, really an issue. It shouldn't be, but I don't think people think about it like that. That's why we're talking about this right up front.
Yeah.
This is the major complaint. And, but he is there. He is running everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all there is to it. He is still there running everything. And I have to admit, and what they do with him after, like starting in season 4 to 7, I'm just going, 7. Holy shit.
I know.
And everything that you are wondering about, we'll talk about it as we go along, but what you're wondering about, and it all just gets completely thrown over when you get to the climax
episode
and the
7,
cliffhanger.
Yeah. Oh.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Yep.
But anyway, and there's going to be some questions there we're going to talk about. But
yes.
It's that the first 3 episodes, because in the first Squid Game, everything got set up very quickly.
Yes.
Okay. And so you just had 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just had 1, and then when they went back home and they all find out that, oh, well, back home isn't so great after all.
Yeah.
And all but 401 go back to the game.
Yeah, okay, 70 people don't come back. Like, because in the first game, there were 456, and then, like, almost 200 people get killed during red light, green light.
Yeah.
And then... I think 70 people with 60 or 70 people.
No, it was 40. I think it was only 40 that didn't come back.
Yeah, but most people came back.
Yeah.
That's the key.
80% of them came back.
Oh, yeah. A huge number came back.
Yeah. And so anyway, in this one, but you have to set up new characters. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to try to figure out, because this is set, 7 years later? 6 years later?
No,
4 years.
No.
3 years later.
3 years total. In the first season, he ends after the... Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I went too far.
In the first season, he ends after he ends the game, and then we fast forward a year, and now we pick up exactly where we left off with him at the airport, and then we fast forward 2 years.
Yes. And he's been in hiding those 2 years. And so you have to find out how he's been able to escape them. And of course, he pulls out the sensor that they had put in.
Oh my God.
And that's all very
such a great little scene.
Yeah, and then it's these Korean kids, right? The kid walks in, right?
I know.
And looks at him, and then he says, "Can you give me 15 minutes?"
Yeah, just 15 minutes.
And the kid shakes his head yes and walks out.
Oh, it's so good.
And then that one. But, and he cuts it out so that they can't track him.
Yes. And then he buys a hotel to hide in.
Yes.
That was a nice move. Like buying this entire cheap, sleazy motel.
Yeah, called the Pink something or other, and it's for hookers mostly. And one night's, anyway. So what happens is that, and you don't know that. I mean, as I said, this is all spoilers. We don't know that because you see a couple almost going to the Pink.
But then the hotel is closed, and they can't understand why. And we find
out
the
girl, then the guy gets pissed off. The guy gets pissed off at the girl for knowing
about the hotel.
The hotel in the first place.
Yeah,
and it was just but you don't know. Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's
cute little song, but
1 minute and it's not important to the plot.
It's not important to the plot, but it pays off.
It does, yeah.
In many ways. Like, this is what I like about the writing. It's like every little thing has a place.
Yeah.
And this does have a place because we don't know that he has bought the entire hotel at this point. I know.
We just think
we have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and then we find out, of course, that he's gone and paid all his debts off.
Yep. Well, of course.
And then, hey, great stuff. And the guy is so grateful.
Yep.
Right? And then he hires him to go looking for the
recruiter.
Guy,
yeah.
The recruiter.
Yeah. Oh.
By the way, the recruiter's in another
show?
Korean
We
show.
saw him in another show? Oh, okay.
Just new. But anyway.
Yes, he's hired him and spent all summer, the past 2 summers, right, looking for him.
Because he knows that they recruit during a specific period of time.
Well, he assumes. He doesn't know that.
Yes.
He assumes that. Yeah, he can't say for sure. And this is the part I loved.
Here. Okay.
Somebody's killing all of the debtors in Seoul. And so there's literally no other work for the for the loan shark to do. His, Sunshine Finance would shut down if he didn't have this guy hiring him to just look for this guy playing Jackie, right?
Yes, and we know who's paid off all the debts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes, and they've been doing it for 2 summers. This is the 3rd summer.
Yeah.
And he's going, okay, we got to find this guy. And so I want you to like double, triple, whatever you need, I will pay.
Yeah.
I will offer a $1 billion want.
Yeah, $1 million, right? $1 million bonus to the team that find this guy.
Yeah.
And I want people on every line from morning till night, from when the trains start till when the trains stop.
Yeah, yes,
and
that was
whatever
it,
because
they've been doing particular times, and
they've just been going at the most popular times, right?
Yeah,
they've been doing it haphazardly. They haven't had a person on every single line.
So now he's hired enough to have 2 people on every single line all day.
Yeah,
and they have to do selfies. They have to do selfies
at every
prove
station
to
prove they're there, or they don't get paid.
Yeah.
Which is a nice touch.
Like this whole thing is just set up. He's created all this work for all of these people.
Yeah.
And so it's, and of course his mother, we knew his mother had died.
Oh, of course.
But it's terrible, but he doesn't go and see the man that was his best friend.
No.
For whatever reason.
Back.
No.
Well, I think let's face it. What has he felt like? He has felt completely separated from his life until this is over, right? He doesn't want to put anybody else in danger while he's doing this. So he hasn't talked to his daughter in 2 years. He hasn't talked to any of his friends. I mean, he goes and he watches Sang-woo's mother and Sae-jok's little brother, right? To check and see how they're doing. And thank God they're doing fine.
Yes, because it is this season where we see him bringing Sheol to Sang-woo's mother.
No, that happened at the end of last season. That happened at the end of last season. Okay,
yeah, well, remember, I just watched
I know, that's why I'm telling
one right before.
And we see them, and it seems to be the same
kid.
Oh,
that's right. Yeah. Yes, it's the same kid. He's grown much older, and he's very happy.
Oh,
isn't that nice?
He's living with his granny and having a great time. Oh, it was such a relief. Yeah. I was worried we weren't going to check in on them at all, but like, she's happy. He seems to be happy. They've got $20 million or $10 million sitting in a bank somewhere. But she still runs the stall, which I love.
Yeah.
She hasn't been changed at all by the money.
No.
Like, she's literally, all that happened was she paid off the mortgage on the stall and then just sat the money away somewhere for her new grandson.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because he paid her basically half. He said he paid her half.
Yeah, because, and it was half for his, for, what do you call it? Technically he should have given her technically he should have given her 2/3 because it was the money for her, it was Sang-woo's money, and it was the money for 67's
whatever her name was.
Yeah. Sae-jok's brother.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, but he gave them half. So they've got all that money sitting in a bank somewhere.
It's like, who needs it? And so he's got this trillion, it's unbelievable amount of money.
He only has $45 million, which is a lot of money, but it is only $45 million. It won't last forever.
No, but I do think that when he came back and put this plan in place.
Yeah.
He did do some investing. I suspect.
It wouldn't shock me if he did.
Okay.
We can't say for sure. We don't have any of the details.
Because he knows what this is going to cost him, and we see what it's going to cost him.
I know.
I mean, some of the things that he's done. Oh my
God. I just love the giant chunk, like the giant pallet of cash he has in the back room.
Yep.
Oh, that's such a nice touch.
And then, it's just like, so we're in the subway, right? On all the train stations. Mm-hmm. And finally, because they're all debating whether or not, like, there's this big fight going on. Yeah. Whether this is crazy. And the guy says, he's paying you to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, it's real.
Yeah.
I don't care whether he's crazy or not.
He's got
this
the
is how
money.
I'm paying you.
Well, and that's the thing is like fundamentally, these guys don't know, but the right? The loan shark knows that this guy was a degenerate gambler. This guy had no money didn't have 2 dimes to rub together. Right? And so for him to suddenly have functionally unlimited money, cash, something has to have happened. Is there a murder island recruited by a guy playing Jackie? Who the hell knows? But something's going on. Like they know 100% something is going on. They just don't know if they believe him that it's this exact thing.
Yes. And, and then we check in with the brother of Im Ho.
We check in the detective. Yep. Jun Ho. Yeah, Jun Ho, Im Ho's brother. Oh my God. And I don't want to be too glib about this, but here's my question to you. When did you know the boat captain was evil? Immediately or sooner? Because I'm like, here's the thing. It's a big ocean out there, and you got shot. The only way that a boat picked you up is if Frontman sent a boat to pick you up. Like, that's the only way that could have happened.
Considering that they can't find the island.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
For 2 years. Because here's the thing. He knows how long he was on that ferry. Like, he knows how long he was on the ferry. It ain't hard to find out a ferry's top speed, but it's not that fast. Right? Yeah. So there's a very limited number of islands that the Death Island can be. And only if someone is sabotaging him actively could they not be finding that island. Right? That's the only way. And that's what I thought from the first second I saw them doing them, right until they revealed that the captain was evil. 100%. So that's the detective.
He's being paid unlimited cash as well. Yeah, exactly. Notice he doesn't seem to care whether or not he catches any fish.
Exactly. Because, he's there to just keep an eye out. Right? And he works for the front man, and he's just there to keep an eye out. And who the hell knows?
Once they found out that his brother was still alive.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm saying the front man sent him out there to make sure the brother didn't die. Yeah. That's the thing. It's not like he got recruited after he rescued the brother. He got sent out to find the brother. Because
just in case he survived.
Because,
he only got shot in the arm.
And that's my point. He was hoping his brother would survive. He gave his brother every possible chance to survive. Right? Like, he went out of his way in every conceivable way. He gave his brother the best possible chance. He shot him in the arm, and he sent out a boat to find him. Obviously, he doesn't want his brother dead.
Okay, but here's the issue. Is that we don't know that that's a deliberate plan on the part of Im Ho until episode 7, really.
Yeah, except I assumed it was a deliberate plan on the part of Im Ho the entire time.
Yes, of course we assumed that, and I'm just going, and it was horrendous.
Yep.
It was just horrendous watching this because we, the audience, know who 001 is.
Well, that's the thing I find so fascinating. Oh my God, he's magnificent. What a performance. Here's the genius of this season, right? And this is why I loved this season, and I might end up liking it more than the first one, because there's that old thing that Hitchcock said, which is the different, whether you want surprise or whether you want suspense. And it's a surprise is a twist, is a bomb going off while people are eating a meal. And suspense is showing you the bomb before the people sit down at the table. So you spend the entire time waiting to go, whether it goes off.
The bomb goes off. We waited and waited and waited.
For this, season 1, it's a surprise that 001 is the mastermind. And so you're watching, and all the clues are there when you go back and pay attention.
Oh, well, I saw all the clues as I was going along.
Right? You can go back and you can listen to our conversation about it. Whereas this time,
Yeah.
You know that the guy hanging out with them is the bad guy the whole time. And you're wondering what he's going to do.
Well, it's really interesting because we know who he is.
Yep.
And I can remember at one point thinking, oh no. Oh, well, no, of course they're going to win because.
Yeah. But it was close.
It was close a couple of times, but they're going to win because they can't kill him.
No.
I mean, everybody knows.
And
just
he's
like
always on a team with 4, 5, 6. So they're not going to die. But at the same time, it's tense. It
is very, very tense. Sometimes you're wondering. And I'm going, okay, are they going to pretend he's dead? Like when they did the circle thing.
I know. Oh my God.
I really wonder. And then when you saw what he did to make sure there were only two
guys left in the room. Oh.
He killed his third guy who
killed the third guy.
There. He just broke his neck.
Yeah.
And that was when. And the funny thing is right? Like, and you saw clues along. And it's what I don't fully understand is why I kept thinking, what's our heroes? 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Why 4, 5, 6? Because he got, first of all, Imho calls him by his name.
Yeah.
And okay, that one could be, right? But then there are other little things that Imho does. And you're just going, wait a minute. Why aren't you picking this up? And you have 4, 5, 6 looking at him very weirdly at times.
Oh, yeah.
And strangely. And I'm going, aren't you picking this up?
Nope.
And he wasn't. He didn't pick up anything. Like it's the first one I understand. The second one maybe too. But by the time you get to 3 and 4 and you're getting the way this guy is talking. And then, when you saw him listening when they were doing the night watch thing, right?
Yeah.
And so 4, 5, 6 and his best friend.
Yep.
Are talking away and they're talking about their past and the rest of it. And you see Imho listening to it, right?
Yeah. The whole time.
And they did a really good job of Imho and sort of for us, the audience, of wondering whether or not Imho is going to be affected by all of this because everything is not going according to his plan.
No.
Because he tries to get it's clear that this is a battle between him and 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
And he is trying to get 4, 5, 6 because
he wants to prove that 4, 5, 6 is wrong and people are just brutal.
Well, he has to.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to do that. Otherwise, he's going to kill himself.
His whole world collapses. Well, and that's, by the way, now to rewind a bit. Let's talk about the unbelievably good storyline in the first episode, right? Where they're looking for the recruiter and they find the recruiter and then we watch the recruiter get 100 lottery tickets
and
100 bread rolls.
Yes.
So I'm watching this scene. And first off, there's not 100 bread rolls in this bag. Just say he's got 50 and 50. Come on. Let's be serious. He was not holding 100 bread rolls. Make the prop match the dialogue or make the dialogue match the prop. But anyway, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then he starts playing this game and I'm like, this is a weird way to recruit somebody. And then he starts smashing the bread and say, you all did this. You're all responsible for this. And I'm like, oh, he's going to kill himself. This is not part of his job. He is doing this because he has reached the point where he can no longer justify his actions to himself. And so he is trying to prove to himself that people deserve what the company does to them.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, is that there was, I think, one person who took the bread instead of the lottery ticket.
We see one person take the bread instead of the lottery ticket.
They all take the lottery ticket and they all lose.
Yeah.
Which is
it's a scratch off.
For the course.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's a scratch off. Of course you're going to lose. You have
1 in 1,000 scratch off.
Exactly. Is going to be a winner. Right? Yeah. And you might get a free ticket, but that's not what you're here for.
No, and the free ticket will be a scratch off.
Exactly.
A loser, right?
Exactly. You get a free ticket, and the free ticket's a loser. There you go. That's what happened.
Yeah, and it is fascinating. He's stomping all over the bread, and
the minute he started doing that, where he starts yelling that you all did this,
it's your fault. It's your fault. It's not my responsibility.
Okay. Yeah, okay, he's gonna kill himself. Like, he has been completely destroyed by doing this job.
Okay, but...
And I'm like, he's gonna kill himself. Yeah.
Yes, but, right, what he does, the way he gets killed, right, and ends up killing himself is all part of the game.
Yes.
That he was playing. I mean, he lucked out on that. He did not assume that he would get the last bullet.
No, he did not.
So... he's still not, I would say that you say, okay, I would have said he's going to die.
Well, he's going to find a way to die.
Yeah,
100%.
he's going to find. Yeah, but what happens is right, they play he's constantly playing these games. And the problem is that the guy who would run the Sunshine Company, the debt place.
Company.
The debt company.
Yeah, the loan shark, let's face it.
The loan shark.
He and his sidekick, Mr. Choi,
have found the recruiter.
Yeah.
And they are told, don't go near him.
Yeah, they're too dangerous, do not go near him, but they want the $1 million.
You know, and the guy's just going, so come on, we can do this, and they get
captured. And we get
captured. And then they force
the most intense thing? Like, oh my God. Forced to play a thing I hadn't heard of, rock, paper, scissors -1, which is where you put out 2 hands of rock, paper, scissors, and then you pull one back. And you don't know what the other person is going to pull back. And as we see, you can play that indefinitely.
Yes.
As long as both people always put 2 different hands out, you can indefinitely play without there ever being a winner or loser, because there's only 3 symbols in rock, paper, scissors. So if both people put 2 different symbols, by definition, there has to be a match every time.
Yep.
But then Mr. Choi accidentally puts out 2 rocks. Oh. And so it's up to the boss of Sunshine Capital, right, to decide.
He can win.
He's got a paper, because he doesn't have a rock. He has a paper and he has a scissors. So if he pulls the scissors back, he wins, and if he pulls the paper back, he loses. But he got Mr. Choi into this.
Yep.
And Mr. Choi is apparently his closest friend. He officiated Mr. Choi's wedding.
Yes.
Last year. And he can't do it. He can't kill somebody. Yep. Not even to stay alive. He can't kill somebody. And he knows he would be, right? Because it's like, he knows he'd be making the choice. Yes, it's ultimately the responsibility of the man holding the gun, the man forcing him to do this, but he still can't take the responsibility of getting his friend killed. In this, like, reflection of the kind of stuff that happens in the game all the time. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
It was, and this was instead of, remember the pairs with the marbles.
Yeah, exactly.
This scene replaces the marble scene.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Because the marble scene, the Gambo scene doesn't happen that's not one of the games anymore.
No. There's only one repeated game.
Yeah.
That we know of.
Yes. Red light, green light. So far.
So far, exactly. I mean, we know the doll's coming back. That's in the teaser for next season. The doll's coming back. And there's a boy doll as well.
Companion. Yes.
Yeah, she's got a boy doll to go with her. What does that mean? We're going to find out. But yeah, then of course 456 shows up, and they have the second Russian roulette scene. And here's the thing. I suspect, right? I suspect he was not surprised. That
he got the
bullet. I would not be surprised if he arranged it to be the 6th bullet.
Yeah. Right? I know, I wouldn't be surprised either, but
just because of his demeanor.
Yeah, he looks at it and he just
And the only thing he wanted to know, he knew he wasn't getting out of that room alive. All he needed to find out was whether, when they got down to 2 bullets, he just gives Ji-hun, the gun, and says, this is why I call him 456. I know I'm not going to pronounce the name right. When he gives like 456 the gun, as he says, you can just pull the trigger twice and kill me, but then you have to admit that you're as much of a scumbag as anyone else. You're trash, right? And you're not playing by the rules. And of course, 456, who doesn't know where the bullet is, puts the gun to his own head and pulls the trigger. But it would not shock me, just given his mental state going into all of this, that he has arranged it so that the bullet will be in the 6th position.
Yeah, and actually, when you say that, because I didn't think of that when I was watching it.
Yeah.
But now that you say it, it makes a lot of sense, because it was true that lottery, it had nothing to do with recruiting. It had nothing to do with anything.
No.
With the game, it was just him trying to convince himself that what he was doing was fine.
Mm-hmm. And
I honestly believe you up.
I honestly believe that when he sees the loan shark sacrifice himself for Mr. Choi, like, this is his final breaking point, and that's why I was sure he was always going to die in the Russian
that was
game.
Just a breaking point, because the game is all about the fact that people will do anything
to stay alive and profit.
To stay alive. And of course, the very fact that 465 is alive, is because
Sang-woo killed himself, sacrificed himself.
Sacrificed himself at the end and said, "Just take care of my mother. Take care of my mother. And the other one was take care of my brother." And he did both.
Yep.
At the same time, and she was so happy to have someone else to take care of.
Yeah. Oh.
To boot, right? So everything. It was.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. But the thing is, he's got the card on him, right? Because it was the recruiter's job to give the front man. It was the recruiter's job to give 456 that card when he invariably came in contact with him. I don't think it was his job to kill himself in front of 456. I think the whole bread versus lottery scene proves that was his own "I can't live with myself anymore" moment. And when you hear his backstory,
you understand.
Because he was recruited. Father. He killed his father,
who was in playing the game.
Well, and that's the thing. He was recruited because he was a poor kid. He was a poor kid who had, a indebted gambler dirtbag of a father who had no prospects, who was dead end. And the thing is, if you become a soldier, right, if you become a worker for there, you're guaranteed you're not going to get rich, but you're going to have a comfortable life. You're going to have a nice place to live during the rest of the year when you're not doing the job. And so you do it. And as they say, first he was just carrying bodies, and then they gave him a gun and he became a soldier, and then he had to kill his own father. And
who ended up playing the game. And that would have been done deliberately.
Oh, of course. And then when he had demonstrated that level of commitment, they promoted him to recruiter, to be one of their recruiters. We know they don't just have one recruiter, but they promoted, I'm sure they have different recruiters.
We've seen it. Well, angles. Look at all of the vans that we saw going into the ferry.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there are other recruiters.
There are other recruiters. So.
He is not personally recruiting 456 people. It's just not practical.
No.
When you hear his backstory, right?
Yes. And then and he tells it, but it's why the episode is called
Bread
and Lottery.
Yeah.
Because that is the key here, that 456 is not, right? It has never wavered.
No.
And in the end, he has never wavered. He's doing all of this to stop this horrible game.
Yeah. To stop the exploitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all of these people who just die. And then we get to the story of the artist and his little daughter.
Oh, okay, here we go. And
oh my God!
What are they doing to me? What are they
and the
watching this?
So
the North Korean woman. And again, you want to talk brilliant structure. She's working as a bunny, right?
Yeah.
She's working at a bunny at an amusement park, and there's a little girl who's at the amusement park all the time, because her dad is one of the people who does sketches of people for money at the amusement park. Right? So he works there,
the
and
girl
his priest...
has
She's got leukemia!
Yeah, she's got bone cancer.
Oh my God. And they're trying to find a bone marrow match.
Yeah.
Oh, but again, they can't. It's difficult. It's costly. And he's terrified, and we see the little girl collapse. But, that scene... But
the scene where she walks in, the first scene where the little girl with that wonderful hat.
Oh.
And she walks
strawberry hat. I know.
Into the dressing room, and they all quickly put their hats back on.
I know. Oh, such a good scene.
And then somebody walks in,
she walks in to give her a painting she drew of the fact that the bunny went back and gave her a lollipop when the other head things annoyed her.
Yes.
Sorry, ignored her, not annoyed. Ignored her. Oh, and so she comes to give her a drawing, and then the ridiculous jerk comes in with his hat off and ruins her day, and her dad has to come in. Oh.
And then she collapses at one point.
Oh, but it's the next day, because it's after number 11 has quit. And this is the key part, right? So number 11 quits, and someone else is the bunny now. In fact, it's the jerk with the pig head. Right, is the bunny now, and so he doesn't know to give her a lollipop the way the bunny's supposed to, right? And that's what she's expecting, and then she collapses. But this is the key part. We see that who we will come to know as number 11, right, is going, like, she's got a wad of she's living in her car, right? And she shows up with a wad of cash to give this guy to look for her son. Because she's a North Korean defector. She was in the army. She escaped. And not only did she escape, she killed the people who were chasing her.
Yes.
She absolutely knows what she's doing. She killed the people who were chasing her because she was a military person who killed her commanding officer and escaped to the south, and also killed the team sent to chase her down and stop her from getting across the DMZ. So... obviously, she's a dangerous person, but she had to leave her 1-year-old son behind.
Yes.
And she's got a guy who specializes, because this is a thing, in getting in contact and smuggling people from the north.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and he's got contacts in the North Korea, and he's got contacts in China, he can't find her son. And the fact is, it's been 6 years, and there's a good chance her son didn't make it.
Yeah, because he was 1 year old. It's North Korea.
It's North Korea.
And the child of a traitor.
And the child of a traitor. So there's a good chance. And so she tries to give him a big wad of money. And he's like, this isn't a question of whether or not, like, I'm not asking you for money, right? This isn't a question of money. This is a question of, can this thing be done? And I'm telling you, it can't. So I can't take your money. And...
I've taken enough of your money. It was amazing.
I know. It's just so great to have somebody who won't, try to exploit someone's hope. And he's like, no, I do this. I take money because I think I can do it. And it's like, you can go to someone else who will take your money and tell you they can find him. And they won't, and they'll just take your money. But I'm telling you, you've got to accept that this is the way it is. And then she quits her job because that night she gets a card. And the genius of the show is, you're like, is she going to play in the Squid Game?
Yeah, no. And it turns out that she's one of the workers. She's one of the
soldiers.
She's one of the soldiers.
Yeah.
And she kills. But that's how she has all this money. Because what you're wondering is, how
does she get all this money working as a character at an amusement park? And the answer is she doesn't. She has the money.
She gets the card because that tells her she has to go back to work.
Exactly. It's time to go back to work. And the money she spent for 6 years looking for her son has all come from being a warrior, like one of the soldiers at the Squid Game. And what's interesting is we find out that, like, the second in command below Frontman is a soldier, a former army captain, right? Who recruited her because he's the one who saw her, right? I mean, hell, who the hell knows?
Get across the DMZ.
He saw her get across the DMZ. And is like, this is someone who's going to be desperate for money and I know can handle herself. And so he recruited her right away to be, as a way to make some easy money to get her son out.
Yeah, we find that out later. But let's go back to what happens. So she has the money.
Yeah, and this is the key part. She has the money. She can't
and
give
she
it
goes,
away.
But remember, just a sec. Okay. Remember, she has found the cap.
Oh, no, I was about to get there. That's after she quits. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
because she quits after, like, she finds out about the new game. The guy has refused to take her money, so she quits her job. And then on the way out the door, she sees the girl being rushed out via ambulance, and she sees the little girl's cap lying on the ground.
So she goes to the hospital.
The hospital. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I mean, she's thinking about her son. She's thinking about her missing son. And she has projected that onto this little girl who she always gives a lollipop to. Right?
Yes.
Right? Missing
who is dying of bone
Who's
cancer.
Dying of leukemia. Jesus.
Yeah.
She goes and she drops off the hat and it's very sweet. And then we see her go and you're like, is she going to play the Squid Game? And no, she does not go and get in a minivan. She goes and she sits down. Sorry, she goes and she climbs into a container truck. And you see that this is how the workers and the soldiers and the supervisors all get to the island. Oh.
Yeah. She just goes, sits there, and she's got her mask and she's got her everything. Mm-hmm. And it just is, oh, Jesus.
I mean, I didn't see it coming. I mean, that was the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah. I did not see that coming at all, because it explained then the money. But the little girl, like, it's so well done.
Yep.
Because we don't know that the little girl has had an impact on her, other than we kind of maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, she comes back and she gives her the lollipop, but that's not a huge deal.
Yeah, you're just going.
You saw a crying girl, you saw a disappointed girl, you gave him a lollipop, but then you see her go to the trouble of bringing the hat, and you're like, oh, okay, this is huge.
So, but what we don't know is that something has obviously changed, and we don't know that until about episode 3?
Yeah,
where she gets pulled into the boss, the second in command.
We get a hint in episode. In episode 3.
Yes.
Yeah, because it might be 4 that she gets pulled in. We would have to check that. Because in episode 3, during red light, green light, right? 456. Someone moves and gets shot, and 456 pulls him over the line. Like, he goes back with best new character of the season, our trans special forces soldier. Yes. I love her so much.
Yes.
Oh my God. So fantastic.
I'm so glad she's not dead at the end of 7.
I know. Well, and that's we're going to talk about theories when we go forward, but nothing bad about her. She's amazing. But they go back and they rescue this guy, and then after they've dragged him over the finish line, 11 shoots the guy in the head.
Yeah.
And someone's like, why did you do that? And she's like, he was a loser. He moved, It's not my fault you missed the first shot.
Yeah.
I was finishing your job for you. And then that night, we see the new surgeon down in the basement being like, there's nobody left alive.
Yes.
All of these organs, I've gotten a couple of corneas, but that's it.
That's it.
Because all of these organs have spoiled in the 6 hours since the red light, green light game. Like, I need living people. And that's why she gets called in. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it is because she keeps doing that.
Oh, yeah. Well, because after the second game...
She keeps doing headshots.
Yeah, she keeps doing headshots. She keeps making sure people are killed because... And this is the key part. We find out when she gets dragged in right? That she gets the warning, and then we get dragged in that the reason he picked her, and the reason, like, because you have this whole thing of no one can see your faces, and you only speak like spoke to. She's definitely, definitely apart from that because she's part of the gang within the group, right? Yeah. Within all of the soldiers who does the organ harvesting, right? And we realize this is where she's getting paid extra money to look for her son. And if you have this 1-2 punch, right, of A, she's now been told she's not going to find her son ever.
Yep.
And B, she sees that the little girl's dad is in the Squid Game.
That was horrible.
She sees him through her scope.
It was horrible.
I know. I mean, he doesn't get shot, but yet. Right?
Yet.
All right. So she sees him, right? She sees him and she's like
trying to get the money.
Yeah. Because he needs the money to pay to find
and he's
the
always going to vote to continue to play the game.
Of course, because he needs to. Right?
Yeah.
He can't. And then we get this so of course for her, she's got this crisis of conscience where it's like, well, why am I doing this? If the money's not for anything anymore, why am I doing this? And then she sees this guy risking everything to save his daughter when she ran off on her son. And she is so racked by guilt that she's like, I'm not going to participate anymore. And so during the second game, we see them putting a living person into one of the coffins, and she walks over and she shoots the person in the coffin, has them reopen the coffin and shoots him in the heart and chest to make sure he's dead. And that's when she gets assaulted by the other team members.
Because, I mean, now, a lot of the other guys who aren't on the team aren't going to know, first of all, who did it. So, but the team knows.
Exactly.
That number 11.
Yeah. But
number 11
is
has,
the one who did it.
And she is continuing to do headshots so they have nothing to harvest.
Yeah. And that's why they come and they assault her and she finally stops.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that after game 3, they do in fact get some people's organs to harvest. So here's my question to you. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, but I read a review of it. The guy didn't particularly like it. We can talk about that another time if you want. Frontman doesn't know about the organ harvesting, does he?
As far as, well, that from the first game, it is clear that Frontman and whatever his name is, the old guy, Ilnam.
Yeah.
No, they don't know.
They don't know about the organ harvesting. Okay.
That's going on separately. And now
we see it's the third in command who's behind it. The other guy in the guy in the black jumpsuit who doesn't have the special costume that Frontman has.
Yes.
He's the one handling the organ harvesting.
Yeah, and they're just making they're making all of this extra money on top of
whatever they're getting paid to be part of Squid Game.
Yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't know. There's
as far as I know,
no sign anywhere in the story that he knows, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can't see anything. I think that this is just because, and that is falling from the first season.
Yeah.
Because that upper echelon doesn't know that that's going on, and it's made pretty clear.
Yeah.
By all of those guys.
Well, because they're afraid that somebody's going to find out. And the only person, and now that we know that the third in command, now second in command, is the one in charge of it, the only person they would be scared of finding out is Frontman. Because if Frontman knows, then there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yes.
So the Frontman does not know the organ harvesting is happening.
That is what I would say.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought.
That's what I would say. Because so it's being run differently, and that's why she reports back to, as you say, the second in command now.
And she threatens to, when she's fighting them there, she threatens to go to the leader, right, who is Frontman. Right, she threatens, and of course, that's when they attack her and threaten to rape and murder her if she doesn't keep
toe the line.
This. Yeah,
just toe the line.
And so there is no sign in game 3 that she's executing people excessively or going out of her way to make sure nobody survives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we see that they're we see them, in fact, in game 3, put a living person in and mark the coffin as to the one to go in the fake.
Yeah. You have to really watch this show.
To pay attention, absolutely.
You have to so pay attention to these little things. He puts a little cross.
Yeah.
In the corner.
Little cross in the corner of any one.
Those are the ones that are going
living
downstairs.
Person that are going into the fake incinerator and moving downstairs.
Yep.
So, it's...
And
her character, it's so compelling, and you can't wait to see, because tragically, after that scene where she's assaulted and then she doesn't do anything about in game 3, we don't see her again for the rest of the season. Like, her part of the story is over. I think we do see her again one more time when she shoots 246, the girl's father, but there's no confirmation of that, right? That is my theory right now. That is not a confirmed fact. But you might ask, how could 246 possibly survive, having been part of the rebellion? Well, you've got this woman there who has a reason not to kill him and could easily have been the person who shot him. But this is more important. She has access to a secret underground lair, right? So you could easily smuggle him out of there without any trouble whatsoever, because there's a secret underground lair that Frontman doesn't know about it. And who the hell knows how many of the conspirators got killed during the rebellion? Like, are there any conspirators left? We know
other than 4, 5, 6.
Well, no, I'm saying the Organ conspirators.
Oh, the Organ conspirators, yes.
Yeah, the Organ, like, how many of them got killed in the melee? And if she had to kill a few more of them, right? It's not like anyone is taking a very firm accounting. We are specifically told, right? We are specifically told that no one pays too much attention to the guards, only that all they care about is that nothing happens to the players that would affect the betting. Right? One that would affect the betting or would affect the odds of the game. Right? They don't want that. But, like the guards, she could get away with killing a few more guards, right? If she wanted to, and just say that happened during, like, because if they can't find a couple more of the guards, let's just assume they're among the bodies that got killed during the rebellion. Because a lot of guys got killed during that rebellion.
Yeah, and I'm trying, so I didn't think that far either. But because of course, that's so interesting. They have found and that gets near the end, right? But they have found the trapdoor that blows up. And I'm going, that harks back, of course, to season 1, where because they're making use of that access to get the divers out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it is explained to the cop, right? That this is set up so that if anything does go wrong, they can escape out of here and then they'll blow it up. Yeah. I'm sure that is the...
Yeah, he knows about the booby traps.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. He absolutely knows about the booby traps. And so when he sees them on the island, he knows they're on the right course, but then, of course, he becomes sure that someone is ratting them out. And it is, I think, the one real question mark in the season, why the cop doesn't realize the only person that could be ratting him out is the boat captain. Like, it is my one question mark plot-wise in the entire season. Everything else I was completely on board for, but it's like, man, when they set up a bomb there, it's because they knew you were coming. And the only person who knew you were coming, like, because here's who knew you were coming. You, Mr. Choi, 8 mercenaries, the boat captain. You can be guaranteed that Mr. Choi isn't the mole. Right? You know Mr. Choi is not the mole. There's a really good chance the mercenaries aren't the mole. It's probably the boat captain. You know? Because it's not
because it has to be someone who knows that there's going to be a chip as well.
Exactly.
In 454.
Yeah, because remember, they know exactly. Like, how many people know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they took the chip out and they put it in the bag of worms.
Yes.
Right? They put it in the bait to send him to the wrong island. Meaning, someone had to know. And it's literally just all the people who know are you, Mr. Choi, and the boat captain. Did the I guess the mercenaries might have known about the chip?
Yes, because they go looking. Remember, the drone is finds the chip in the bait.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, they definitely know about the chip. It was
given the bait.
But what you got to remember is they had to know about it the night before because they had to take it out of his mouth while he was unconscious.
Yes.
So but we don't.
And I think it was given. It was another fisherman who was fishing with the bait.
Yeah, exactly. It was another fisherman who was fishing.
Yeah, we have to make that clear. There was a fisherman on the island when they get there.
Yeah.
And they're looking for the drones, and then the drone, like the signal, and the signal is in the bait. It goes through the bait, and the fisherman says,
Here's my question.
Somebody just gave this
bucket of bait to me. Do you know what literally the smartest thing that the Squid Game people could do is?
What?
Put the tracker in the bucket of bait in this guy's bucket on the actual island. Because if you find it, no, my point is, if you take it out of his mouth, if you take it out of his mouth and you put it in a bucket of bait and you have just some random guy or a guy pretending to be a random guy fishing with it, they're going to come and they're going to find the thing in the bucket of bait and they're going to assume they've been misled and they're going to dismiss the island that they found the tracker on. Yeah. They're going to immediately say, this can't be the island. They have pushed us in the wrong direction. But that is exactly what you would want them to think if that was the real island. Because better than sending them on a wild goose chase is forcing them to dismiss the island they're looking for. So I'm just saying, don't be shocked if it turns out that fisherman was one of the guards, one of the soldiers or the workers or the supervisors, and that in fact was Squid Game Island.
Oh, I'm assuming that's Squid Game Island. Okay. I just was assuming that was because that's where they find that fake door.
Oh no, they find the fake door on a different island. No, that's not the same island where they found the tracker. They find the fake door on a different island. Yeah. They find it on the next island they check.
Because of the drone. And then
they find it with the drone.
Then they kill the drone. They kill the drone.
They kill the drone operator,
The drone operator.
Yeah, well,
somebody else couldn't do the drone.
Well, no, because he kills him not because he's the drone operator, but because he sees the captain messing with the drone.
Yeah.
And that is key. We don't know how he was messing with the drone. We're going to find that out next season as well. All right. So now let's talk briefly about all of the various new characters. So the complaint I read in this article that didn't like the show very much, which again, I think is crazy, was that the previous time, right, we, all of the characters met and developed relationships, right, within the game, right? So nobody knew each other really before they got there, much anyway. And then they all developed alliances or hatreds with each other during the game. Whereas here, you've got a bunch of people who already know each other. And I'm like, I don't know that that's true because the key relationship in the first one was 456 and Sang-woo, both of whom know each other. Right?
Yeah. And they grew up together. They're lifelong, they were childhood friends, right? So right away, the whole theory that most of the relationships are happening meeting in the place. No, I think, and likewise, 67 and 101, right? She was a criminal working around 101 and she had stolen 456's money coincidentally. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, no, they almost all of them had like preceding investments in one another, right?
except
one
for
sort or
Ali,
another.
except for Ali and
Yes.
101 and player number 1, who goes out of his way to play on 456's sympathies, right? Because he finds 456 intriguing.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, right? But all of them had pre-existing relationships that were fundamentally, and so here you've got. And
here's the other thing that is against that. The argument that this is a problem is that they're all basically living in the same kinds of. There's only so many areas where these degenerate gamblers,
yes,
and the people who depend on the debt, the loan sharks,
yeah,
and the rest of it live. Like they all interact one way or another,
mm-hmm.
And the most surprising one is probably, and he gave him, no wonder it took him so long to write this, and he gave the artist,
yeah,
a reasonable reason to go and try and play the game.
Yeah. And this
because
is why
his
I'm
daughter
sure, by the
is
way,
now in the hospital and she can't get out, and he doesn't have the money, and he says, I'll get it somehow.
Yeah. And my thing is, this is why I'm sure he's still alive. They have done a lot of building up that character without giving him any real scenes inside the Squid Game. I think all of that is coming next season. Yeah. I think all of his scenes and his story are going to be next season. And I don't know what form that's going to take, because everybody thinks he's dead, except for 11, who didn't shoot him fatally. So the question is, what the hell is going to happen there? And I'm very interested to find out.
It is interesting going forward. Because, they find this door on the island. I don't know how. Like, I tell you, this guy who wrote the whole thing,
it's incredible.
He takes all his time. It's just incredible, and making sure that everything interconnects somehow or another.
But the mother and son team are fantastic.
Oh my! And the mother who refuses to believe that he kind of didn't come back and get her, right, when there was only the 3, and so somebody else pulls her in, and she's and the way she treats what is her name?
The soldier.
Anna.
I can't remember her name. Yeah,
Anna was the girl that got killed. That became her friend very quickly.
Yeah.
And then the way the mother who is going, what?
has to learn to be on board with trans people real quick.
Yeah, and it was so funny when she has these scenes were so great as the break scenes, and when trying to explain why she wanted everyone to turn away was because she still had a penis. Yeah. Just like, my God. And the grandmother gets it. The grandmother is not upset.
No, not at all.
She thought this was, she had an opinion in the beginning, but
quickly gets on board.
She just goes, well, okay. So, and then when it turns out, of course, that she had been a soldier, she had been a sergeant.
Yep, in the
military,
in the special forces. Specifically.
Yeah, and so it's no surprise she knows what to do with a gun.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it means you lose your career when you come out. And just her message that when everyone thought I was an effeminate man, it was okay. Everyone would look the other way. Yeah. Everyone just wouldn't pay attention to it, and they would ignore it, and they wouldn't talk about it. But the minute I announced who I actually was, like, it was such a relief, and it also destroyed my life. And you're like, yep, okay, this all feels true. Okay,
and I will tell you that, not Thor, what does he call himself?
Thanos.
Thanos.
Oh my God, I love him.
And his best friend there.
Yeah.
If you're telling me his best friend, his henchman, isn't either
gay, at least
gay minimally. Minimally gay.
Oh my God. Like the constant searching for Thanos's approval. Right? The constant, the looks.
And who was glad when Thanos got killed?
Oh my God. And the thing is, I really enjoyed Thanos the Rapper. I think that was you needed to replace. He was a great villain because you needed to replace their villain from the first one because the villain 101 was a perfectly good villain. Like, there's nothing wrong with that guy, and he was a wonderful character because he was very simply a bully who dies because he runs out of people to bully. Like, his entire life is just been... And the one
woman he betrayed took him down.
And it's beautiful.
And it was beautiful.
It's such a perfect ending for both of those characters.
Now you've got the second villain, which is the older guy.
Yep. Who I think is going to be a major part of the second half.
Well, he has to be because there aren't that many
characters left. I know. Yeah, I think he's going to be a major part of the next one, right? And so that's going to be interesting. And so the only question becomes, like, how will he involve with, what's his name? With the sidekick of Thanos the Rapper, who still has all the drugs, who still has the cross full of drugs.
Yeah.
Right? That is Chekhov's.
That's going to run out soon.
Yeah, it's going to run out soon. And what's the effect going to be? Right?
Yeah.
But yes, Thanos the Rapper, I thought was very entertaining. Spoke English a lot. A surprisingly large amount of English speaking.
Well, just like our villain in Vincenzo.
Oh yeah, just does a lot of time speaking English. That's how you know he's a villain. But yes, I thought he was wonderful. I was very entertained by Thanos the Rapper.
Yes.
He was delightful. He went out in an amazing way, killed by a crypto scammer. So let's talk briefly about 333 and 222. The guy who ran a crypto channel and then got involved with crypto scammers who did a rug pull, costing him all his money, and as well as everybody else. And he's trying to get a bankroll together. Even Thanos is there because his $500,000 he had saved up had all been lost in this rug pull. And the
guy had a YouTube channel.
Exactly.
The equivalent. And
it is a YouTube. No, it is a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was a YouTube channel.
They're not coy about it. They're not they're not saying Facebox channel. It's a YouTube channel. We all know it is. He's GK Coin.
Yes.
Everyone knows this
Yes,
guy.
I know. It's so nice to see all of these people being thrown into this. And of course, he's constantly echoing the villains of this whole piece.
Oh, absolutely.
Constantly, I'm not responsible. You made a choice. I said you should let go, but no, you were greedy.
Yep.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yes.
And again, it's about how the show is whole capitalism. Yeah. He's in the game because of the scams of capitalism, and he's still parroting it. He's still trying to be the person running the scam, even though he is now the victim of the scam.
Yeah.
He's now the victim. But he still thinks he's on top of it. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah. I mean, they doing such a good job of all of these different people. And you just have 4, 5, 6, just trying. And he's got a nice cohort. And the problem is, of course, Imho is part of his team.
Yeah. Oh.
And Imho deliberately makes it so, of course, because just like 001.
Yeah.
In the first season, he also has to justify what he does.
Exactly.
Because we know that 001 in season 1, right, died when he knew that he was wrong.
Yes. Well, and that's the best part, and that's why.
Yes.
The thing that we haven't talked about is really the scene in the limo. And the scene in the limo was pivotal because you got to remember, Frontman was there, watching when Ilnam died, right?
Yeah,
Frontman was there watching Ilnam die. Yeah, we saw him. He showed the minute 4, 5, 6 walks out, he walks in. So he was there. He was listening, and they played their final game about the man. And what he says to him is that Ilnam knew, that homeless man had been saved, and he refused to look because he didn't want to admit he was wrong about people. He didn't want to admit that he was wrong about the world. And when 4, 5, 6 brings that up in the limo, it actually shakes. Right? It actually shakes Frontman. It does, right? It shakes him and it makes him reconsider. And so he puts 4, 5, 6 in the game. He could just dump him back out on the street. No, he puts him in the game to see if he's right or if 4, 5, 6 is right. He needs to know. He needs to know if all of this is for nothing. He needs to know if he was just a victim, because we'll get into 4, 5, 6's backstory in a minute. And so when he watches 4, 5, 6 successfully convincing people, right? When he watches 4, 5, 6 convincing people to, play the game correctly, and so many fewer people die in red light, green light.
Yes.
He realizes he has to put himself in the game, which is an option he already had because they didn't have a 001 yet. There was a role waiting for him if he had to put himself in. Because he doesn't put himself in from the start. He wants to see if 4, 5, 6 can do it before he comes in to watch and potentially sabotage him at the right moment.
Yep.
And that's why...
and he's constantly trying to sabotage him.
Absolutely. But he also has to keep him alive.
Yes.
And here's the question. Now, there's been a lot of debate about whether... Ilnam was cheating at the games. Right? If you watch the first scene, right, the red light, green light, you can see that Ilnam is not being fairly scanned. Right? And we can assume, we can assume that if he had broken his star, nobody would have shot him. Right? Because we know that when it, he took himself out. Yeah, in the second game. In the second game, the Dalgona, right? If he had broken the star, nobody would have shot him. He's the boss, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to assume nobody was going to shoot him at red light, green light. We have to assume nobody was going to shoot him at Dalgona. Yes, was his life in danger in the tug of war? It absolutely was. But then again, I don't know that he was wearing real shackles. We have no way of knowing. Maybe he could have died. He was risking his life. He was risking his life doing all of this. But we know for a fact that he was cheating because he lost the marble game and they didn't kill him.
Yes.
He was cheating. And so here's what I'm getting at. And he takes himself out because there's one game that you can't fake your way out of, and that is right? There's one game you can't fake your way out of, and that's the glass steps. There's no way for you to cleverly step aside and not have anyone notice when you're on the glass steps. That's just, they would just kill you. So he takes himself out before the game where he would in no way, shape, or form be able to fake it. So here's my question to you. Is Frontman cheating? Yes. Okay, I'm glad we agree on this. Okay.
There's no question in my mind that he's cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point...
if he had screwed up, they wouldn't have killed him.
They would have found a way. No, if he had, for example, in the circle game.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody would have killed him, but they would have pretended to kill him.
Yes.
Because nobody can see, really, what's going on.
Well, the key is...
They would have... they would have put him in a box and let him out.
No, they wouldn't have had to, because that's why Frontman played last. There's no witnesses left.
I'm talking about the circle game.
So am I. Remember, in the circle game, there's 40 teams or whatever, or 100 teams, because it's teams of 5.
No, there was 115 or something.
Yeah, no, there was 200.
The last
one.
Oh,
no, that game. Okay, in my defense, both games involve a circle, okay?
Yeah. No.
You mean mingle. You're talking about mingle. I'm talking about
mingle, the dancing.
Yes,
yes,
dancing.
where you mingle.
Yeah, mingle.
So even if he would have...
yeah. And
he would have somehow or another.
Oh, yeah, they would have just not shot him if he hadn't ended up in a room. And nobody would have seen that he wasn't in a room because they were all in their own rooms. No one would have known.
No, and they could have just, and if, when the lights, yes, okay,
but my statement is that I believe that the reason he killed that guy, so he's panicking when he can't get the what do you call it? The spindle going, right? He is panicking, and he is very desperate, and he kills that guy in the circle game. But in both cases, I think the thing that he's worried about is blowing his cover. He wants to, for him, this is now a competition. Stay in the game. That's what I'm saying. For him, it's a competition between him and a 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
To find out whose worldview is correct. And if they screw up the Rainbow Road, right? If they screw up the Rainbow Road mini-games segment, then they're not going to kill him, but they will kill 4, 5, 6. And now he'll never find out. But he'll never find out if he was right or the other guy was right. And likewise, in the Mingle game, there's 3 of them in there. If he doesn't kill the third guy, he doesn't get to stay in the game.
That's right.
Because there's a witness, right? There's a witness that would see him cheating his way out or get killed.
Yeah, so he has to kill the guy.
So he has to kill the guy to stay in the game. And that's the key part. He needs to stay in the game in order to take on his role, all right, to sit there with 4, 5, 6 and to prove to 4, 5, 6 that 4, 5, 6 was wrong. That is what I think is going on. And I do think that no one would have killed Frontman, just the way we know no one would have killed Il-Nam in the first season.
Yes, because we do not know who received the inheritance from Il-Nam.
Exactly. Like just, did it all go to his son? Or did it go to, right?
Frontman.
Did it go to Frontman? We don't know.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about Frontman's backstory. He had to give his kidney to his stepbrother. And that's the detective.
Well, he did. Yes.
No, he did. I just said that.
Yeah.
He did. He had to.
Yeah.
Then, some small number of years later, his wife got horrifically ill. And she was pregnant at the time and refused to get an abortion, even though it would have made it more likely for her to survive. It's one of those things where you can't do the treatment until you've had the kid, but that makes you less likely to survive.
Yes, it's always the cancer treatment.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right? You can't start the cancer treatment because it would kill the baby, right?
Yeah.
It would kill the fetus, right? If you get the cancer treatment, but delaying the cancer treatment might kill you. And they needed an expensive treatment. And he was also a cop. This is the key part. He and his brother are both cops. And he started borrowing money.
Yeah.
And Il-Nam lent him a lot of money that people interpreted as a bribe. We don't know who, ratted him out on that. It wouldn't shock me if it was Il-Nam. And he lost his job. And in order to get the money, he had to go into the Squid game. And he won.
Yes.
He won the Squid game. And then his wife and child died anyway.
Yeah.
And so now, with nothing left to live for, Il-Nam came to him and said, why don't you come and work for me?
Yeah.
And he had already been through the Squid game. He already had this, brutal understanding of the way the world worked. Right? So, as a consequence, even though he's got all this money, and this is why I'm tying his story directly to number 11, what good is the money anymore? His wife and child are dead. The money's not for anything now.
Well, it's the same thing with, yes.
And that's what's going
11.
on with 11.
And, yes, and remember, we're not talking about 11 player. We're talking about
number
11 security
is what you call the guard. That's why I've been saying player number so-and-so and number 11, because number 11 is the only thing she's referred to as.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody calls her number 11. And in the same way that she now has nothing, like the money's not for anything, so why am I doing this? He had won Squid Game, but everything he cared about in the world was gone. He has lost his career and he had lost his family. Right? So what did he have left to live for? And consequently, right?
He buys into Il-Nam's
view of the world.
View
of the world. And now that gets shaken by Il-Nam and 456's conversation, which is why he gets obsessed with proving 456 wrong and proving that his worldview makes sense. And so, and what he is going through is the same thing the recruiter was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A crisis of faith in his own choices and going to desperate lengths to prove that he's right. And, oh my God. And so now we get to the rebellion, which is just so fantastic. And the fact that he knows, because let's talk slightly about the psychology leading up to the rebellion, which is one of the things that impresses me most about the season, which is that they said to themselves, what we're going to do is we're going to give you, instead of everybody loses everything if you quit, they made it so you will get a payout if you quit. And the thing is, if you always know there's a payout coming, no matter what happens, it ironically makes you more likely to want to keep playing.
Just one more game.
As they say, just one more game. Yeah. But the thing is, even if they had voted their way out, you can say, but doesn't that make it more likely that they'll vote their way out? Of course it won't. Because hell would have happened again. They would have gotten out and they all would have had $40,000. And they would have been like, okay, well, this $40,000 gets me nothing.
Yeah.
I have no, being handed this $40,000, accomplishes nothing. It doesn't protect me in any meaningful way, right? Every one of them, right, will have less money than their value as a person into the game, which is $100,000.
Yeah.
And so they get into their, even if they had voted themselves out, just like with hell, they would have come back. They would have come back because that paltry sum, you would have seen, well, if I had just stayed, I would have had the money. And they would have come back anyway.
Yes.
But the thing is, the genius of this whole idea of putting on a sticker to decide, to show which way you voted, creates teams.
Of course.
That's the brilliant part.
Oh, yeah.
Because the fight, right? They want the fight to happen. And made them go
separate.
Exactly. Yeah. And they split themselves up. They stopped talking to each other. They stopped associating with each other. Like, early on, right?
Tribes. They become two tribes.
Exactly. It becomes
enemy
a tribal
tribes.
Statement. And in the first time, they had to give them slightly less food and hope that there were some psychopaths. But now, you're turning them into warring tribes, each of whom have a desperate interest in
their side.
In their side winning. And you basically guarantee a fight. It's very well done.
And then they give them sushi with metal forks.
I know! Well, it's not sushi. It's something that looks like sushi. Yeah, it's some Korean thing that does look like sushi, but they give them metal forks!
Yeah, and 256 knows there's something and knows that's what it means.
456 knows that this is, and then we see the fight in the bathroom where Thanos gets killed. Oh, Thanos gets taken out at the end of episode 6. So then we have the fight, and then we have the rebellion, and then we have the most horrible thing in the entire series, which is 456 announcing that he is willing to sacrifice the people on his side in the riot. Because that way, they will, he needs all of his strongest fighters to not fight in the riot. Because he needs all of his strongest fighters to be ready to kill the guards. When they arrive. And he's like, that moment where he says, I'm going to sacrifice some of us to save all of us, you're like, oh, wow, he has really been transformed. Because every moment until this point, he has been saying, I am going to save all of us. I need to get all of us out of here. I need to stop the game. And he's come to realize the only way to stop the game is by sacrificing people. Because if, like he says, if his side fights, if all of their best fighters start fighting, some of them might get killed, and then they won't be able to take down the guards.
Yeah.
And so they have to essentially, their side, as he says, has more elderly people and women on it who want to quit the game. a lot of them are going to get killed, right? We see the tragic death of 180, right? When Min-Soo fails to help her. Jesus Christ, that was rough. Oh my God. I was not expecting her to go. Oh, no. Min-Soo, you bastard. But yeah, right? And she dies, you know, a named character, a character we like, right, gets killed because there's nobody backing her up. Because they're all hiding and waiting for their chance to take out the guards. Which they successfully do, and they have their rebellion, and they kill a lot of guards, but then, of course, they're betrayed by, you know, player number 1, just as we knew they would be, and we were just waiting for that moment. But...
And then he's sitting there, okay, it's enough.
Yeah, but what has 456 turned himself into? And this is the key part. This is what the front man is going to be able to, hit him with when they have their next conversation. When they have their next conversation in season 3, he is going to be able to point out that you sacrificed your own people, and for what? You know, you got your best friend killed. For what?
Well, he says that clearly.
He says that right
already
to his face.
at the
This
end.
Is the price.
Yes.
But it's like...
This is the price you pay.
But the fact that he was willing to let his own innocent, like the people on his side, the innocent people he was there to protect, that he was letting them get killed by the one more game people in order to make his plan work. And the fact that, you know, the front man was sitting next to him and asking him about this and interrogating his idea when he announced that that was his plan and that was the necessity. It gives front man a lot of ammunition to use about who he is as a person and his argument that you're no better than me next season.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's who are you becoming because you're so obsessed with.
Exactly.
It's like this is a gambler's obsession.
Yeah, it's just your new obsession.
Yeah, the flip.
Mm-hmm.
And you finally come to the point.
Did you abandon your you abandoned your family for, you know, hedonism and gambling. Now you're abandoning your family for righteousness. You know, but you're still abandoning your family. You know?
Yeah.
Either way, you're still abandoning your family.
Yeah, and I still don't understand. Well, yes, I still don't understand. Well, I mean, 456 explained it, but
yeah,
I'm going, that's not a good plan. Even knowing, I mean, and then, of course, given what we, the audience, know, it's really a bad plan.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
And why?
Hey, to be fair, they almost take it. They almost win.
Yep.
They almost pull it off if they didn't have
been a traitor among the ranks. They might have.
But this is the key part, and this is what I liked, because it shows that there's still something going on with Frontman, and still something weird happening with Frontman.
Yeah.
He doesn't reveal that he betrayed 456.
Well, no, he doesn't.
He could.
But he leads 456 to believe that he's
killed.
Dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
He goes out of his way to make him think that 001 is dead and that Frontman is a different person.
Yeah.
And so there's more to their relationship, and there's more coming.
Yeah.
Because he would have, if he was like there to kill him, right? Part of proving, and the thing is, the weird part is, he wants to prove that 456 was wrong, but he arranged it so that 456 would have to fail, and he doesn't want 456 to know that he skewed the odds. He doesn't want 456 to know that he cheated in the game they were playing against each other.
Yes, except that 456 is going to find out.
Oh, no, of course he's going to find out. That's how drama works.
Yes, that's the same thing with his brother, finding out that
exactly. That his brother was Frontman the whole time.
Yeah. And he's running these games, and, that's just too much for him.
Yeah. And, oh, my God. But, yeah, I am very excited to see the next season.
Yeah.
Right? But
apparently there's a trailer for season 3.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we're going to watch
and
that.
And it's at the end. If you watch the credits, and I missed it. So I have to go
the
back.
only thing I saw in the credits was the one shot of the doll coming back and the new little boy doll being there. That's all I saw. But maybe
okay. So,
that might be it.
But I thought it said it was a.
If there's a whole trailer, we'll go watch it separately and talk about it later.
Yeah.
But yes, for now, like, I think that's the most interesting thing about Frontman's behavior. I assumed he was going to reveal his betrayal, but he doesn't.
No.
And it's because he doesn't want 456 to know that he cheated.
He wants well, yes, he doesn't want to know, because then that, of course, justifies 456 going, I got dragged into this, I got bamboozled.
Mm-hmm.
And
the whole point of the game is that they're supposed to be fair, right?
Yes.
And although 456 had an advantage in red light, green light, but they knew that putting him in, and that's fine. But he doesn't have an advantage in any of the other games. Not whatsoever. The only person with an advantage is Frontman, and he doesn't want. And that's what the big question is. What is going on in his head that he doesn't want 456 to know he cheated? Because he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think that he needs to prove that 456.
Yeah.
He needs
wrong
to
about
force him to
get on board with this. Yes.
To get on board with the Squid Game.
Yes. And I think that's what he wants.
Yes, that's what he wants, because that justifies his life. So if he told 456 that he had cheated,
it would turn him against.
Yes, it would stop the process of that 456 is going to go through about letting all of these people die for nothing.
I know this is crazy, but I think he wants, that's the thing. I think he wants 456 to accept Squid Game and maybe even, work for Squid Game. I think he wants to recruit 456.
Oh, sure, because if he ever gets him to turn, just like he was turned.
That's my point, yes.
But the point is, the only way to do that is to go kill his daughter.
Yes, and don't be surprised if that threat doesn't get raised next year.
Yeah.
Well, next season. That was, okay, I'm glad we're on the same page about this, because, I think that's why he doesn't tell him he betrayed him.
Yeah, that's why he sets it up so that they think 001 is dead.
001 is dead and died because of his plan. Right?
Yes.
Because the only person that he kills the only person that saw him do something evil, killing the guy in the Brit. And he thinks that he got his friend and 001 and everybody else killed.
Yeah.
And because he thinks that, it's going to make him all the more hopeless. And maybe once he has given up on humanity, he can recruit him to, again, help him run Squid Game. Because,
yes.
That is my theory about what's going on.
It's a diabolical plan, and it's going to be interesting to see how it ends.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait for the end of this story.
Yeah.
Will it have a happy ending? Probably not. We'll see.
Probably not.
Okay,
we have... I just don't want it to be that 456 gives in.
I know. I agree. 100%.
I just don't want...
He might not survive. We don't want him to give up.
Yeah, that's all there is to it.
I hate to say it. We can accept him dying. We can't accept him losing his way.
Yes.
He might not die. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but we are desperate to find out. All right, so final thoughts on the season of Squid Game.
My final thoughts? I can't wait for season 3. That's my final thought. Look, this is, and even when we're talking about it,
yeah,
I can, I didn't have, here's the difference. In the first Squid Game, it was almost a compulsion. I had to see.
What happened next?
What happens next? What happens next? And they didn't structure up. He didn't structure up season 2 the same way.
No.
So it's not always what happens next, so that you're sitting on the edge of your seat and you have to watch the next episode. And so you watch 8 episodes one after another.
I mean,
and you go crazy.
It, but yeah.
Yeah. And go crazy. Whereas this one, there's a lot more meat to it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more to think about.
More plot. There's more stuff about the world, and there's a lot of really complicated character stuff going on.
Yes, yeah,
that
and
wasn't
there
there
are
in the original.
like, what's going to happen? I wouldn't be surprised if 11 doesn't come back.
Of course, 11's coming back.
She's coming back,
and she didn't kill 426.
No,
that is my prediction. I'm not making a lot of predictions here. My prediction is she's the one who shot 426, and she didn't kill him.
Yeah,
that is my theory.
She may want to, and want to get him out so he can take care of his daughter. I mean, she can give him money. She can give him money. Point. She's got loads and loads of money.
Who knows, right? We're going to see.
So this little girl is going to be replacing her son.
This is what I'm saying.
That
this
she
is
abandoned.
a possibility.
Yeah.
But the key part
so.
is, and by the way, this is the review I'm talking about that didn't like the season. I'm going to tell you something about it.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth do you write a review of this season that doesn't mention frontman or number 11 once? Like, were you watching the same show as I was?
Or did you not know that 001 was frontman?
Did you not understand that 001 was frontman? And like, what an incredibly important psychological game is going on between these two men for the entire season?
Actually, you should make a comment on that review.
No, I will probably make a comment on the article. It was like, did you not understand that he was frontman? Because if you didn't understand he was frontman, it's probably an issue.
Yes. Did you not rewatch season 1 before you started to watch season 2?
You didn't even have to. They show him watching Red Light, Green Light with his mask off.
I know.
Right before we see, like, you actually see his face this time. So it's like, you have every reason to know it's him.
Yeah, I mean, they show you his face so that you will understand.
So you will 100%. Like,
just in case you didn't do like us compulsive
and immediately rewatch.
And immediately rewatch season 1. I suspect we're going to rewatch season 1 and 2 before season 3.
Oh, we're definitely going to rewatch 1 and 2 before season 3. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's perfect. Like I said, the only plot issue I have, and it is a plot issue, the only plot issue I have is that I really feel like it should have occurred to, like, the detective.
6.
No, the detective.
Oh, the detective.
I understand 456 not assuming 001. Like, I get him not believing 001. He had a really good story and he acts it very well. I believe him being convinced he is not in, like, that he would never suspect he was in on it like the previous 001. By comparison, I really feel like the detective should have thought something was up with the boat captain.
Yes, but what I would say is understand that he was freaked out by finding his brother, and he's never told anybody he found his brother, not even his mother.
No, nobody knows.
He was really freaked out.
Yeah.
When he got away,
mm-hmm.
He ended up in a psych hospital.
Yeah, he's not doing well. He's
taking meds, and he can't even go back to his old job.
So
he's got to be a traffic cop.
Traffic cop.
He became a traffic cop because he couldn't stand
the pressure.
The pressure of and knowing what was happening. Like, he has severe
crimes.
PTSD.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and what I would say is, okay, can I just flip back? Like, that's the one thing that with that cop, okay? What I would say is that if you look at his brother, like, frontman.
Yeah, frontman.
Okay, and the pressure, you were right about talking about him being pressured when the 5 of them had to each do a different game.
Yeah,
and he was freaking out. But I would say that it may also have been not just what you were talking. It probably played a role, that it could be a little bit of PTSD from the fact that he played the game before
himself. Yeah.
As a real person.
Yeah.
And because we do not know his story in the game.
Yeah, we don't know what his game was like. We know he won, but we don't know what his games were like.
No. And so, you're sort of sitting there, and all of a sudden, it didn't work the first time. Yes. And then he becomes more and more. So and here's what will have happened. If he had not been able to do it.
Yeah.
If 456 hadn't talked to him, calmed him down,
mm-hmm.
so that he could do it properly.
Yeah.
what they would have done is killed everybody but frontman.
Yeah, of course. And that's why he was, and that's what I was saying. That's why he was so frustrated, because if 456 died there, he wouldn't get to find out.
That's right. Yeah.
If he was
right.
right.
But what I'm saying, I still
100%.
think that
that's why he was frustrated. But yeah, I'm sure some of the frustration also could have been PTSD.
Because going back into the game is not, and that would be the only excuse I would give to 456 for not questioning 001 a little bit more.
Yeah, is because of how he freaks out while playing.
These games. Yeah.
All these games.
And then, you know, I mean, the fact that he sometimes sounds like the,
he doesn't sound like the front man. They got voice changers on.
No, I'm not talking about the voice. I'm not talking about that. It's what he says sometimes, right?
Right, yes. And how he says his real name before he plausibly could have heard it. And he has to say, I heard your friends using it, and I thought it would be okay if I did too, even though they hadn't been introduced. Because, of course, he never thought... Of course, they have been introduced. Yes. They do know each other already. And he forgot that Ji-hoon doesn't know that. It's a great moment. Like, because for him,
that was
the politeness suggests that you don't use somebody's name until they've introduced themselves, even if you know it. But he forgot that he hasn't been introduced, even though he has.
Well, what happens is that he knows him and has been obsessed with him.
Exactly, since the last game.
And so that was his first slip up.
Yeah,
and then he had to work to override.
It's a great moment, though. It's a great moment. It is about etiquette, right?
And Korea.
That's what I'm saying.
That is critically important.
That's my point. Like, it's a huge deal.
Well, you saw with Thanos's. You saw with Thanos's group when they're and the age thing, right? You can't call her that. She's older than you.
I know.
You have to call her Nanu.
Oh, it's so good.
You know, you cannot do that. You can't treat her that way. She's older than you, like by 6 months.
Yeah,
you know?
All right, so we're going to be back here next week for what is that? We're wrapping up. We're close to wrapping up. What do you call it?
Just let me.
Those Who Kill. No, I just told them. Those Who Kill. So we're close to wrapping up Those Who Kill. So we're going to be back here for that. This is obviously a special Saturday episode because we wanted to get up as soon after Squid Game aired as we could. We are going to be on more Squid Game. Literally expect us, once again, 2 days after the new season comes out to be back with another one of these. We are not waiting. It's Squid Game.
No, it's Squid Game.
It. I'll probably also get a Squid Game video up explaining the season. Over on the YouTube channel, right? So if you want to check out the Hidden Object Guru channel for that.
Explain some of these.
Explain some of this stuff.
If somebody can write a review of season 2 and not talk about
Frontman or number 11, like once, you might have missed the whole point of the season. All right, so
or you're not watching
closely enough because Jesus. All right, so we're gonna call it there. Thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, if you have comments, if there's profiling related fiction you'd like us to check out, drop us a line at profilingcriminalminds@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you're listening on an app podcatcher or watching on YouTube, please rate, review, and subscribe. That's how people find out about the show. We're going to be back here next week for, we're getting close to the end of Those Who Kill. But until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.
Have a good weekend.